Hey guys, this is a Patreon Q&A. If you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description and you can sign up there. Also, I'm going to be going into spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Awakened Saitama asks, I can only think of one question, which will probably be asked by multiple people, and that is, do you think Garou will match Saitama's punch? So this is a good question, and to be honest, I'm not really sure. So at the end of chapter 166, we saw Saitama finally come back to the fight against Garou after being blown away for a little bit, and after Garou may or may not have killed Genos in an attempt to bring out the serious power of Saitama, Saitama pretty much gave him what he wanted and threw a serious punch at him. This was like the death punch that we saw against Genos in their training match. And we saw Garou go into his Saitama mode that he copied from him in the previous chapter and threw a serious punch of his own. And as they were about to collide, Blast said, "This energy, this is bad, the earth will be shattered." And that's where the chapter ended. So if the next chapter opens up with Saitama just completely overwhelming Garou and then that's it, that will be like a little anticlimactic, I think. So it's possible that Garou does initially match his serious punch. Now I think before they even collide, it's likely that Blast will like open up a wormhole and send them both to the other dimension so that they can finish their fight there, probably, because you know, if two serious punches collide on Earth, it's gonna cause like a catastrophic event, so them fighting in the other dimension will mitigate that. And I think it would also be a great way to raise the stakes on the overall series and send us into like the next era of the series as well. And by next era, I mean like we finally see somebody match a serious move from Saitama. Like when Boros was able to survive the first strike from Saitama, that kind of sent us into like the next era of, oh, okay, so there's people that can actually survive a single punch from Saitama. So I think the next landmark might be somebody like matching a serious punch. Garou matching Saitama's serious punch is going to like trigger at least two things. So the first one being, which I think many people assume, we're going to see the next level of Saitama's power, whatever is above serious series. Your guess is as good as mine as to what it's going to be called, but whatever it is called, it's going to be like Saitama, I don't know, like his full power, or maybe just a little taste of it. And then once he goes to that point, then of course there's no chance that Garou can match that or replicate it in any way. That's probably going to be the end of the fight for sure at that point. But if Saitama doesn't do that, then we might see consecutive serious punches, because we haven't seen that yet. And I've always wondered, you know, what would that be like? And, you know, one of the things I thought along with that is like the Earth probably can't handle that. I mean, the Earth is already kind of on shaky ground after one serious punch, or at least a portion of the Earth for sure. Consecutive serious punches, that's, you know, just an extinction level event in itself. But we can see something like that if they go to the other dimension, or if they go to space or something, or if they're like hovering above Earth or whatever. But if he does do the consecutive serious punches, then I could see him completely overwhelming Garou at that point. I mean, maybe Garou can try to replicate it, but I don't even think the amount of power that he currently has, or at least the power that God has given him, can replicate that at this point. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the next chapter and we will see two consecutive serious punches go at it. But I just have a feeling that Saitama is eventually going to overwhelm him with that. Or we see what I talked about before, and Saitama does the next level above serious series. Either way, Saitama's going to do some crazy stuff that completely overwhelms Garou, and Garou's not going to be able to match it. Jimmy P asks, why did Robin blatantly withheld the knowledge of Pluton's location from Luffy and her crewmates? So that's a good question, and I really don't know. I mean, we the audience don't fully know what's going on here. I mean, maybe off panel she told them all or whatever, but as far as we know, she didn't. And if she didn't tell them, then there has to be a good reason for it. But something has to be told here by Oda. Like, he has to bring up a reason why, you know, she's been so tight-lipped about this, at least to the audience. I mean, at least there has to be something with Frankie there, because Pluton's like Frankie's thing. So maybe we're gonna see like a flashback of her telling Frankie like, hey, Pluton's here. But your guess is as good as mine as to what's really going on with this. Geruda asks, do you think Green Bull is just a powerhouse who doesn't think before he moves? I think that's the reason why he earned the epithet Bull. So it's certainly possible. I mean, he does seem to, I don't know, maybe kind of fit that description, at least from what we've seen of him in chapter 1053, because he is walking down ostensibly an unwinnable fight at this point. There's no way that he's going to be able to take everyone that is in the flower capital right now. I don't care how cool or how strong he is, there's no way he's defeating everybody that's there. So unless he's delusional about his abilities, then yeah, we can go into this whole thing where he thinks before he moves and he just gets dominated by everyone. But I don't think it's going to be that simple, especially after he's just been introduced. So powerhouse for sure, but thinking before he moves, not too sure about that. And also that might conflict with his status of being an admiral, even if he was chosen off of the public draft or whatever they did with him in Fujitora. So Garett M and Delamante asked the same question, and it's since I finally finished Hunter x Hunter, who is my favorite character and why? So I don't have like a definitive favorite character at this point, but I do have a couple characters that I really like. So Gon, Killua, Kurapika, and Hisoka. And I'm sure that's like standard, that's what everybody says, but they're just great characters. Gon reminds me of like Luffy fused with Deku. Killua reminds me of like Sasuke if he wasn't like an edgelord and had his giant wall up the whole time and had a character arc much earlier on in the series. Kurapika feels like the sequel to Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, and Hisoka I think is probably just designed to be likable at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Hisoka is like the fan favorite or one of them. Scottish Wolf asks, what's your guess for the next One Piece arc? So I'm guessing it has to be Elbaf at this point, unless they go into like Sabo stuff with the Revolutionary Army and trying to go to Mary Joie, but it seems a little too soon for that. I think Oda may have laid out to us what is left on the table, at least for arcs, because they still have to go to Elbaf. That's like an important thing. Joy Boy's backstory is probably going to get revealed there, and maybe that's where the last road Poneglyph is. And then after that, we know that the final island in the Grand Line is Lodestar, and I'm assuming that they're going to visit there as well, and they have to visit Elbaf before that. And then, you know, the final destination is Laugh Tale, of course, so it just seems likely that Elbaf is going to be the next arc, and it probably won't be long. It'll probably be like a Zoe kind of arc. William H asks, what do you think the future of Tatsu holds? Is he a Kid Moomin Rider or a Kid Garo? I'm honestly confused by what you're asking here, William. Do you mean Tatsumaki? And is she a Kid Moomin Rider or Kid Garo? Or when you say Tatsu, do you mean another character? I can't think of any. But if you're talking about Tatsumaki, I think her future is that she's eventually going to have like a big character arc where she finally lets her guard down and she's like not afraid to fully be herself. She'll get a power up too. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she winds up getting energy manipulation or something like that by the end. And it's also possible, you know, that she might wind up with Genos. Probably gonna anger some people, but man, maybe the seeds are being planted already. Salvatore S asks, I noticed a very small detail in the Viz release of One Punch Man chapter 163 where we actually see Metal Bat showing the first reactions to the radiation from Awakened Garo. So yeah, I just checked it out and you're right, I didn't notice that the first time around. Is it likely that we will see Blast's group reintroduced as the Sword Saints with Blast giving an exposition dump to Saitama post-fight? So I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, we're eventually going to have to get that information. Like Blast has to spill the beans on what he's been doing and who his team is and their ultimate purpose. So whether it be after the whole Garo stuff wraps up, I think would be fitting because, you know, considering everything that has happened, it's probably a good time for Blast to reveal that to at least to Saitama. I can actually just see it being told to Saitama, and it never goes any further than that because, you know, Blast's whole thing is being confidential. And the initial exposition that we got on the Saints was, you know, outsiders aren't allowed to know about all this stuff anyway. But at least the audience will be filled in, if anything. Fez Saad asks, if Garo has knowledge over all energy in the universe and is able to copy Blast technique, which manipulate the universe, how is he able to copy Saitama? So this is a good question, and we don't fully understand what's going on here, to be honest. I highly doubt he is copying Saitama's strength or power. I mean, realistically, he couldn't because Saitama is so much stronger than him, and that's also not how Garo's abilities work. He more so copies like the technique, and I think that's probably just the full extent of what he's doing here. He's just using Saitama's application of his abilities. So maybe he realized that the way Saitama nonchalantly does things, or his application of these certain moves, if he uses them on himself, then he could bring out a similar level of strength that Saitama does, at least just to himself, if that makes sense. Little Ferrari asks, do you think Blast was holding back at all against Garo because he was worried about the other heroes who were passed out? So yeah, I think Blast was definitely holding back against Garo for many reasons. First of all, he didn't want to like destroy the Earth any more than it was already in danger of being so. And Blast, of course, was concerned about the others around there, because he also said, you know, evacuating them is the #1 concern. But also another reason is because I don't think he wanted Garo to copy any more of his moves. Like after he saw, you know, he just did a gravity knuckle, Garo immediately copied it. He probably thought like, oh man, if I do anything else, then he's going to copy that too, especially now that he has knowledge of, you know, the energy and flow of all things in the universe. So yeah, I think he was, and it's awesome. It is the way that it should be, considering, you know, where we are in the series. We should not see the full capabilities and potential of Blast yet anyway. ShadoStorm asks, do you think Cosmic Fear Garo is stronger than Webcomic Awaken Garo? Oh yeah, like by far. Like, don't get me wrong, Webcomic Awaken Garo is obviously really strong, but man, Cosmic Fear Garo takes it to the next level for sure. I mean, Webcomic Awaken Garo was very limited compared to Cosmic Fear Garo, considering that he was just, you know, powerful in the sense that he was super strong, durable, and fast. Cosmic Fear Garo is all of that, but even more. And on top of that, he has the energy manipulation abilities and the knowledge that God gave him. I mean, the gamma ray bursts, the nuclear fission, it's just like the difference between a child and a man at this point. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I want to thank all of my patrons for continued support of me, guys. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And once again, if you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description. You can sign up there. And if you like the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.